Hey everyone. Welcome back to the recap. Today we are recapping The Last of Us. So we are
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Found a new zombie movie or show.
Yes, we are back at it. And we are here every week to discuss the latest episodes during the season. So you can catch our recaps anytime, available on most major podcast platforms. So, yeah, we are glad you are here to hear us talk about a new show. So, for those of
Yes.
you joining us live tonight, thank you for taking time out of your evening to be here. I am your host, Tamara, and I love a good TV show and good books, of course. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at The Recap Pods. And if you're into books, you can also find me at Shelf Addiction. Joining me is show co host Lisa. Welcome back, Lisa.
Hey, Tamara. Hey, everyone. My name is Lisa Orban. I'm an author. I'm also the founder of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture. So if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me pretty much everywhere online at Lisa Orban Author or at Indies United Pub.
All right. So before we get going, just a quick reminder that we would love your participation in this conversation. So if you are listening live, chat with us in the comments section. If you're catching this on a replay, you can still leave comments or you can even call us using old school voicemail. The link is below in the show notes. We do want to hear from you and possibly include your comments in upcoming episodes. So don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. If you are new to the podcast, we are laid back in our review style, right, Lisa?
Absolutely, Tamara. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Yeah, no scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around. Huge spoiler alert for the show. We didn't play the video game, so you don't have to worry. There's no spoilers on that front. So if you are cool with that, this is the place for you, and we should jump right on in. We are doing 2 episodes today. Only
Yes.
2. Yes.
I got to tell you, though, when you ran the intro, the
Mhm.
music threw me a little off.
You're like, "Wait, what is this?"
Yeah. We have done so many years of The Walking Dead and having a particular, music intro for that. And when
Mhm.
she played it for, This Is Us, well, it was cool. Don't get me wrong. It threw me off just a little bit.
Oh, you're like, "Oh, wait, what's that noise?" I hear you. When I first heard it, I was like, "Oh, I like it. It's creepy. We're gonna go with it."
Yeah, I did. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. Kind of like, I really do actually like this show.
Yes, me too. I like it a lot. So, oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about.
Oh,
So
yeah.
much. Where should we start?
Well, I will say, so I do know that the show has gotten like great ratings from gamers and non-gamers alike. And
Mhm.
I, like you said before, I haven't watched played the video game because I don't play games. Um, but I have talked to a lot of my gamer friends who have played this and they are gushing about it. They've made some modifications, from video game to the TV, but all of the changes they've made, no one's complaining about. Like, yeah, it makes sense. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, which is rare. Usually all adaptations, all form of adaptations from books or comics or games,
Hmm.
people usually complain, but not this time.
Yeah, it's almost been shocking
Mhm. I
because I
agree.
was I was really expecting. I saw some early reviews, and when we started talking about maybe doing, a podcast on this, it has a nice zombie theme to it, but they're
Mhm.
different zombies and they're cool. God, they're cool.
Yes, very
Um,
cool.
but I started reading the reviews from people that had, from reviewers that had gotten a sneak peek to them, a firsthand look, and they were all like, "Yeah, it's good. I just want to say how shocked I am."
Yeah, I was honestly surprised as well. I think I was expecting a lot. I had heard that I guess the video game creators were involved
Hmm.
with this adaptation, which always is a good sign. But, being that I too did not play the game and had no desire to play the game, I said, I'm just going to take it as it is, as it comes, and we'll see if I like it. But I liked it a lot more than I thought, really.
Yeah, I think one of the with the video game creators, a lot of the changes that were made to make it feel more real for for the TV,
Hmm.
or things that they wish, after upon, reflection of after making the game, that they wish they had done slightly differently.
Yes.
So everything that was all these changes that were made, they weren't they were made to make it better. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And with that same, but with that same feel because it was the original creators that helped them come up with these changes.
Yeah. So they
And
do.
I liked that it wasn't super dark during the dark scenes and you could actually see what was going on.
Yeah. You're like, "I can actually see." Yeah, they did do a good job with that, honestly.
Because I'm getting really tired of sitting in a dark room with all the lights on and on the brightest setting on my TV to make out vague shapes.
I know. You have to rewind and rewatch, that's a whole thing.
I've
And you
got
could hear. I didn't have to have the, caption on because sometimes people whisper or they,
yeah.
um, murmur or I don't know, and I have to turn on the captions on some shows, and I didn't need that with this one.
Yeah, and I like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I because it's gotten so bad with these dark scenes that I've been turning on the visually impaired option.
You're like, "Let me make it brighter."
No, visually impaired option is when there's a narrator that will tell you what's going on.
Oh, no. So they're saying, "Okay, they're walking in a dark."
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Oh, no. Well,
No, because I mean, there, and I really Willow, that came out on Disney Plus. I watched it, and like the last 2 or 3 episodes were like in like a dark cave kind of
mhm,
thing, and
mhm.
I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't even make out who the people were,
Oh, no, that's not good.
and so yeah, I'm turning on the visually impaired. It was
Oh,
terrible.
dear.
Yeah. So anyway, but no, this show is. I mean, it has. I like the feel of it. I like the fact that on The Walking Dead they never explained how it happened. I mean, they're kind of going there now, but I mean, it just was. And
Yeah.
this one is it not only is it giving an explanation, the terrifying thing is it's a
It
plausible
it
explanation.
makes sense. It makes sense. Yes, and I think that was the
Terrifying?
yeah, and honestly, for me, it was something that I noticed instantly with the title scene on both of the episodes. I'm like, "Oh, this is a thing. We're gonna keep
Yeah.
learning little tidbits as we go along," and I love that aspect of
Mhm.
it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not like they're giving the whole game away or anything, but they're making you understand, you know, they didn't just spring these zombies monsters up and just go figure it out. No,
Right.
I mean, there was this little thing and the thing of it was is, because I watch a lot of strange stuff and I knew about this zombie virus that affects a lot of insects. They get these things that grow out of their head and they do weird things. So I was aware of that. And and the fact that it's our higher body temperature that prohibits these not viruses, but these funguses from infecting us.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, with global climate change and them having
I
to
know.
adapt. And I'm like, oh God, don't give me another thing to worry about.
Like, I double dog dare you to say climate change isn't real now. Like,
Yeah, it was, and I
yeah.
think that was probably one of the really. I think that's what really made it. I don't want to go real with plot. I mean, it's plausible. Yeah, it made it more plausible.
Mhm.
It made it scarier because while this was a very surreal, thing going on, it was a real thing that happens in nature, just not to us, you
W
know?
well, you know what else made it a little more real? I heard they changed the time by about 10 years.
Mhm.
So, like, the game is, like, 2003 and
Mhm.
2013 or something, but it's our time. The current day is
Yeah.
2023.
Mhm.
So, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this makes it a lot more relevant because, we can remember 10 years ago."
Yeah. Yeah, and it was the acting I thought was phenomenal so far.
Mhm.
The actress, that they, to play Ellie.
Let's pull them up. I actually pulled up the cast because you know how we
Okay.
are with names and
Yeah.
stuff.
Hey, I was really proud that I remembered Ellie's name.
Yeah.
Um, but, I really liked her in, Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
And she was so sassy in there as the head of her family and stuff, and I was so sad when she died. But I mean, I really like, and she's doing a really good job of being this sassy but kind of vulnerable kid.
I think that kid is pretty dangerous.
Well, yeah, you have to be. I
Yeah.
mean, well, I mean, and you get a little backstory from her that she's been in this military school. She was an orphan. She was placed in the school, and her job was going to be a soldier. So, yeah, I would imagine she
Mhm.
is a little dangerous.
Mhm. So, yeah, and I think as their relationship develops, he is a father figure to her. He will be eventually, right?
Yeah.
I think that they are doing all the right things to kind of set up like that relationship is going to be hard earned.
hmm I mean, and really, I mean, when once we, fast forward to the present day, every person that we see on this show is in one way or another dangerous. There,
Mhm.
there are no, there are no weaklings at this point. Everyone is either dangerous or dead.
Yes. Dangerous or dead. I think I'd rather be dangerous,
Yeah.
honestly.
So
Uh,
Ellie being dangerous, even as young as she is it's not surprising since she is being groomed to live in this world.
mhm.
And you have to be dangerous and you have to make those hard calls. I mean, that and it was heartbreaking in the first episode when we see this kid just kind of walking along, by himself
Oh,
and
yeah.
and walks right up to the people
Yeah.
for help. But doesn't say anything. And because I guess speech is one of the first things that they lose speech and the shakes and different things like that. But and how I mean they didn't terrify this kid while they killed him, but there was no hesitation either. I mean there was no soul searching. It was, oh, you're infected, you
You
know.
got to die.
Yeah.
Yes. That was actually kinda jarring, and even, like, in the first episode, uh, you know, the main character what's the guy's name? See, look, I forgot already. Joel, in that first opening, we see him kill someone, and his
hmm
daughter is screaming, like, "You killed her!" She's having this reaction,
Yeah.
and then present day, we're seeing him throw bodies, like,
hmm
no big deal. Picking up the
Right.
kid's body, tossing it in there, It's
hmm
like that stark difference is, like, jarring.
Yeah. Well, and it's you see him, we get to see him as a father. And
Yeah.
you can see that he was not struggling so much to be a father, but just struggling. There was a lot going on. It was his birthday. But there was this big job and, trying to balance, life as it was. And, and then we get, his daughter who is, she's resourceful and, she's a good kid and, but stealing his money to fix his own watch.
I know, but what are you gonna do when you have no money and have no job?
Exactly. Um, but it's this, you can see that there's this love and fondness and affection
Mhm.
there, that he has this close relationship with his daughter as they sit on the couch that evening. And did you get the cake? Forgot the cake. um and watch a movie and it's this real close family bond.
Yeah.
So it's and then to lose her like he did.
It hardened him immediately.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he turned off all the emotions pretty quick after that.
hmm and I do want to say, because we were talking about this a couple when the first episode came out, and I'm like, it's the flower. That's what
Mhm.
infected everyone. It's the flower.
Of course, it's like you did say that, and,
hmm
did you notice they were not really eating anything bread? Even in the first episode, they didn't get the cake,
They did,
they
or the
didn't get the
pancakes,
pancakes.
or the biscuits,
Mhm.
or the raisin cookies. And
Yes.
and then in the opening, the opening for the second season or the second episode, we saw them talking about the grain
Mm.
storage facility where this was happening.
Yes.
And so And even the showrunner, when he was talking about it, he says, "We've left breadcrumbs." So, you know,
Yeah, if you pay attention, you'll get it. You'll get it.
yeah. So, and
Yeah.
when you really don't, you know, there's um that's pretty much how it spread so quickly and so fast, was infected flour that had gotten shipped out as, you know, things, bread, biscuits, cookies, flour, and why it hit everywhere so quickly, almost all at once.
Yeah.
Which is honestly a really decent way to reasonably spread something like that.
I mean, honestly, so we had a very recent experience with the pandemic. We know how
Yeah,
quickly things spread. It does
yeah.
not take much.
But even that, I mean, because it was person to person
Yeah,
transmission, it really took months to kind of roll along, where this basically took place within about 48 hours.
very quickly. And then
And
after that, so think about like in episode 2, we got to meet that doctor
mhm,
and we were going through the steps. So she's like, "Well, who bit this woman? Who bit the woman? Who bit
mhm,
the guy?" And they're like, "We
we
don't
don't
know."
know.
And she's like, "Well, how many people are missing?"
14.
Immediately, it's like, "Oh, no." She's trembling. She's like,
Yeah,
"It's over.
yeah.
It's
There is no
over."
cure. You know,
Right.
there's no cure, there's no, you know, we just need to stop this. And when she's telling him, and they're like, "Well, what do we do?" Bomb it.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, and she made this cold calculation, you know, kill millions to save billions.
Including her and her
Yeah,
family. She's like, "There's no other choice."
yeah,
It still
and
didn't save everybody, but they tried.
yeah, they did try, but you know,
Mhm.
the problem of it was is it was at a flour manufacturing plant, which means what they had been making had already been, more than likely at that point, had been sent out.
Mhm.
And because we are a world economy, and flour, you know, flour production is concentrated in just a couple of areas really in our in the world, and so it went out everywhere.
Yeah, it
And
was
that's,
everywhere.
yeah, and it just snowballed quickly, you know.
So I think one thing that is still, unless I missed it, it's still not clear to me was just eating the flour enough to do it. That's it. All you had to do was eat the flour that was infected. No, nothing needed to trigger it.
I don't know. I mean, they're just giving out these little
Yeah.
breadcrumbs, and
Yeah, because like if we go back to episode 1, and I have to say that scene when that old lady is like eating those biscuits and they like crumbling out her mouth, I'm looking like,
yeah,
ugh. They're looking, ugh. I said, don't eat those biscuits.
yeah, they're really good. She's really eating them up.
And
Yeah,
what happens to her? I'm like, well, she went to the city. She ate the biscuits. So a couple
uh-huh,
of things, they were like, oh, it's concentrated in the city.
mhm.
And so I'm like, I don't know. Was there a trigger or was it just the flour? I think they're going to give us a clarifying answer on that as we go along.
They might. I do know from the video game, while there are hints, they never really say. Um, so a lot of the gamers are really happy that
Mhm.
they, because I guess they've been trying for years to get these little breadcrumbs. Um, so yeah, I think we will get more than they did in the video game, but
Mhm.
even the gamers don't know for sure.
Okay. Hmm.
So, you know, we can all be surprised together.
Yeah, did you notice? Okay, so one other thing that I noticed immediately that I liked about their zombies is that they have been very open with us about the types of zombies,
Mhm.
the levels of zombies. We're
Mhm.
going to know all the things. And they, at first, they're fast. I'm like, whoa, that's different from The Walking Dead, right?
Mhm.
Not to
Yeah.
just be comparing it constantly to The Walking Dead, but that is the zombie show we've lived with for the longest.
Right.
Um, so like here's a little list. So immediately upon turn, they're runners.
Mhm.
And then a couple of days in, they're stalkers. And then a couple more weeks, maybe, they turn into these clickers. So that's when they make
It's in
we
about a
learn.
year.
Okay,
It's about a
well,
year to be a clicker.
we learned that in episode 2 we saw them because they can't
Mhm.
see anymore and they're using, sound.
Echolocation. Mhm.
Yes, and then they turn into these bloating things and then shamblers and then a rat king apparently. So I
The rat the sham wait, the Rat King, I can't remember one of the two. They actually, if they die, they go into, or they live in water.
ugh, ugh, is that the bloaters or is that
Uh oh, yeah, it might be the bloaters.
ugh,
They,
ugh, gross.
yeah,
And
they're waterborne.
let me tell you, these freaking things were so gross to me in episode 2. I
Mhm.
saw that thing and I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, I mean and I think again it's like one of the big complaints that we had, again going back to The Walking Dead, was why are some of these zombies still moving? They should be completely decomposed by now. But
Yes.
with you know with this concept, there's a living organism that's basically living inside, and it's
Growing.
growing, and it's taking nutrition but giving nutrition as well. They're symbiotic,
Mhm.
and so there's a reason why they can keep going and they don't just die after whatever so long.
Right.
uh, it makes more sense, and it really does kind of fill in that gap that's always been kind of moving or missing with the zombie idea that we've generally had, is why are they still moving around as they decompose? Yeah.
Exactly. And why in The Walking Dead, why are they getting faster and jumping and stuff
Hmm.
now? It's like you'd think it'd go the opposite way, but
Yeah.
whatever. I guess, two different worlds, two different ideologies as far as how they want to deal with these
Hmm.
zombies. But I really enjoyed it. I thought the way like the gross little things come out of their mouth and stuff. Oh,
Hmm.
I almost earled. Oh my god, that scene when the clicker came up to Tess and like
Oh yeah.
put its mouth on her. I'm like, "Ah, ah, ah." I'm like gross.
And it was it was a really intense scene, because she's trying to get this lighter. Although in my brain I'm going, why didn't you just pull the pin on one of the grenades?
I know that would
But
have been easier than that messing with that lighter.
I'm just saying, I'm always looking for the simple, and she's clicking that thing. But they realize that she's infected, and so, you know, in most zombie movies and shows, in that in between state would have been basically run over and eaten. But
Yeah.
instead, they recognized her as their own and were welcome here into the community. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
and there's a consciousness to it. There's a they have this hive mind, which is in a lot of ways terrifying. It means, I mean, the this kind of fungus can grow anywhere.
Yeah,
And
you see how they explained in the second episode
mhm,
how even like everything was connected.
yeah.
And like if you step on it, everything kind of just knows where to go and all the
Mhm,
zombies run that way.
yeah. And again, the more terrifying part is this is a real thing.
Mhm.
The mycelium network, it's a real thing, where plants, trees and plants and fungus, and they have this interconnected thing that goes on worldwide, and can communicate to a certain degree. And I mean, and now it's being brought to a consciousness level, and it's and I with insects there's a limited intelligence to go behind it, and but now with humans, and having this mergence of human and fungus. It's like they're taking the intelligence of humans with this foreverness a fungus
You
because
know,
they don't technically die. They just keep
keep going.
growing.
Yeah, it never stops. And can I just say this scene when Ellie she's sleeping in all this grass and moss.
Hmm.
There is no way in hell I'd be sleeping on any grass or moss or anything.
Yeah. And we also know that they don't particularly like light.
Mhm.
It won't stop them per se, but they don't like it. And even when even in their blind state, and which isn't it goes along with kind of fungi. They prefer dark, damp places. Which means the insides of most of these buildings are
A mess.
a mess and
Infected.
dangerous.
Yeah, they're overrun probably.
And well, and even in the city, when Joel and Tess are going down this into the sewer systems and around, they come across one that had lived its lifespan or whatever you want to call it, was there against the wall.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're seeing them even in a place that's supposed to be safe. They're still there.
Yeah.
Not in massive hordes and probably aggressively taken care of, but they're still there.
I
So I mean,
know.
there's no, because technically anywhere that there's fungus could be this infection.
Yeah, do they ever go away? Do they ever disintegrate? Do they ever it's just forever and ever. They're just
Yeah.
there.
And unlike, again, in The Walking Dead, there in The Walking Dead, there's always a possibility that humans could technically win. All right, just because of the nature of the zombies they have there. But in this show, unless a literal cure is found, humans are on the losing side, and they don't have much longer. And Joel comments on the fact that every year, more and more people, as they sneak out of the city or try to get away from these oppressive regimes to try and go somewhere else, are getting caught and turned.
Yeah.
So just it's a war of attrition at this point.
And the doctor, in the little pre thing at the beginning of episode 1, he basically said, "Look, if that happens, this is endgame."
Yeah.
Endgame. And he meant it.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
this fungus it's here, it's everywhere. It we live with a fungus that can do this right now. And again, it's more for like ants and wasps and insects like that. But it's and while the insect population hasn't been massively taken over by it, I'm wondering if it's the intelligence factor of humans that's propelling the rapid spread, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Mhm.
Because while it doesn't, again, it's more of a symbiotic relationship. I'm not sure that the intelligence is off, because it's even that they've said that these creatures aren't stupid. They're not unintelligent. It's
Right.
just that they they're basically just their consciousness is taken over by this this infection and made to change, kind of like like when a dog gets rabies.
Yeah.
It changes they're afraid of water, and no one knows why. But
Mhm.
even rabies, which is just a viral infection, can change the behavior of animals and make them act in particular ways that for to so we kind of know, oh look, rabies. um this mycelial infection is doing the same thing.
It
It's
just wants to grow and grow and grow
mm-hmm.
and just take over everything.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem like they don't need, I mean, obviously having humans is important to have. And once all the humans are gone, there may be a collapse, because they do seem to need more humans to continue to spread. But
They could
that
adapt and
they could
not need
adapt
that.
again.
Yeah.
I mean, they could, I mean, it could, because the other thing that I've noticed is, while I've seen birds, I haven't seen a single dog or a cat or any small, I haven't seen a rat.
Wait a minute, I'm trying to think. Did we see a dog? No, I
In the
guess.
in the very first episode, there
Yeah,
was the neighbor's dog, and the neighbor's
right.
dog was flipping out, and then that's the last animal we see.
You're
There's no
right.
horses.
I was trying to think about the present day setting. I'm like, I don't think I did see an animal.
Yeah. There's no horses. There's
Well, we
no
saw ducks. We saw.
we saw avian life,
Mhm.
but they're different,
Mhm.
and they also have a different metabolism than mammals do.
Yeah. Well, we know they're eating meat, right? They're eating something.
They're eating something.
Yeah. They're eating something.
Okay, because when they were talking even about the sandwich, they were talking about what was in it, which was apparently unusual. Um, but yeah, I don't. If there is meat, there's not a lot of it, and I think it's probably some kind of probably like the equivalent of like rabbit, rat, or some small mammal that's easy to contain.
Mm.
But here's the thing: out in that city with no humans, in theory, we should be seeing a lot of wildlife: bears, moose, anything that escaped from a zoo, uh,
Well,
cats, dogs,
it's
and
not too
there's
late though. We're in a
nothing.
city area. Maybe they're further out.
Life after people, man, life after people. No. But I mean, even discounting bigger like deer and stuff like that, I mean, cats and dogs, that that area in theory should be overrun by them.
See, the only thing that is making me think not is because how that dog reacted to that, he wanted
Hmm.
away. He didn't wanna go
Yes.
back to that house. So, let's just assume mammals are a little bit smart and they know danger, danger,
Yeah.
danger, let's stay away, and we already have been explained to basically that we have find bigger hordes of them basically in the city.
Right. So I mean, it is possible that they're being, the wildlife has learned, danger do not pass.
Mhm.
But I would imagine at this point, the zombies are not maybe merging with them, but they probably eating them if they can catch them, would be my
Yeah.
guess. But
Hmm.
again, because I mean they do have to, keep the body that they have that they're inhabiting fueled. So they're and while they obviously prefer humans to spread the infection, I'm wondering if they're also, keeping the animal population down.
Mhm.
But that
Yeah,
city was quiet. It was so quiet.
because they can hear everything.
Yeah.
You can't make a sound.
Mhm.
It's like even in that scene where they're in that, old hotel
Mhm.
and, Joel is telling her they can't see, they can
Mhm.
hear. She's
Yeah.
breathing hard. She's trying to catch her, it's like I think it's
Mhm.
like fear breathing, right?
Right.
She makes one little, noise,
Uh-huh.
and that those
And
things were on them like
oh
nobody's
yeah.
business.
So I mean I mean, I will give it this. The show's intense.
Mhm.
I am curious now, once they're leaving Boston, I am curious to see if they run into any animals. If we don't see any, I'm going to go with my theory and that they've just wiped them out.
Mhm. Mhm. So what do you think about, 2 episodes and we've lost 2 characters already? For me, but I was really looking forward to seeing what Tessa's character could have been. I loved her in what's that show I watched? Oh my gosh, it was on the tip of my tongue.
I don't
Freak
know.
it started with an F. Oh my gosh, I can't think of it now. But I loved her in this other show I watched, and I'm like, "No, I wanted to see more Anna Torv and more stuff, and she's gone already." I think
Yeah.
that character had so much potential. What do you
Well,
think about them just killing people already?
I do know that Tessa's death is in line with the video game.
I'm
Um,
sure it is, but see.
and the only difference is in the video game, she was killed by the military people.
Uh-huh.
And in this one, they made her death as they put it, more noble. Um, but I don't really hate. I liked her character. I really did. Um, but I'm going to be real truthful. From the first time she was on the screen, I'm like, she's a goner.
Yeah.
So I didn't get real attached to her because even without actually having watched the video games, and I found out, I think it was like yesterday or today, you know, it was after I'd watched the second episode that that's in line with the video games. I'm like, yeah,
See,
she's not going to make it. Although I do want to mention one thing that happened at the end of the first episode, that the radio came on and started playing 80s music.
mm-hmm.
And I'm going, is that his brother?
Maybe it could be his brother. It likely is his brother.
And he
Maybe.
wasn't there to get the message.
No, he wasn't.
And if it's 80s music, you can assume that it was important.
So let me just find out so I know what kind of level I need to be preparing for this show. Are you going to be seeking out video game comparisons to what they're doing? Or are you going to just watch it as it is?
I'm watching it. Basically, what I've been doing is I've been watching it as it is. But I subscribe to like a news program,
Mm-hmm.
and generally like the day after it airs,
Mm-hmm.
the stuff came on, and I had an hour to kill before
Mm,
we did, and there was just a whole bunch of there was a whole bunch of articles, so I was
okay.
killing time.
Okay. Because I'm like, how much do I need to read? Because I was trying to decide, like, how maybe we could have two types of opinions, because I feel like, how pure do I want to be in this, right? Like, I know at the beginning we learned a lot up front about this show because of the
Hmm.
video game, and it was everywhere. You really couldn't avoid it.
Right.
But now I'm trying to think, do I just want to watch this game as a, purist, quote unquote, new to me? Or do I want to dig in and see what the original
Yeah.
material was?
I haven't read anything. I've avoided anything that might give me spoilers for Ahead.
Mhm.
So like I didn't know that Tess would die in the second episode,
Mhm.
but like I said, the minute I as soon as she was on the screen, I don't know why I'm like, and saw that she was connected to Joel and stuff. I'm like, man,
She's a goner.
she's a goner. Um, and I mean, now part of that also had to do with the fact that in every um trailer I had seen, it was just him and the kid.
Mhm.
So I'm like,
Yeah, so it indicates they're alone. Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
And so that was probably, coloring my, why but yeah. I'm like, man, she's not long for this world. And because it is 8 episodes, I figured she'd have to be dead by the second, third at the latest.
Mhm.
So I'm not trying to read ahead, and I'm not trying to go out of my way to find stuff. But like I read an article about what was it, the different types of zombies.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
that was kind of everywhere on the onset too.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I haven't done I haven't watched any YouTube. I haven't done a deep dive. But after the episodes air, if it doesn't look like it's going to contain any spoilers outside of the episode I just watched, then I've been allowing myself to read it.
Okay, that's good. Because I mean, honestly, I think had I watched this Sunday night, I would have probably seen a lot more too. But
Hmm.
because I watched it later in the day today,
Hmm.
I was busy. I didn't
Right.
have any time to really be looking at any of those articles. Not
Right.
really.
And since we recorded a half hour late, I had basically an hour to kill. So
Hmm.
I was just like, yeah. Well, and I wasn't going and looking for the articles. It's just everyone is talking about this show.
Yes, which is, why we're doing it the day after. We started a
Yes.
week late, but, we're on it. We want to be like everybody else. We want you to be able to listen and hear what we think immediately right
Yeah.
after. So,
And like, I'm not going to, my plan is not to try and spoil it for myself by reading ahead, because I don't think that's any fun.
no,
You know?
because then we can't really make guesses and
Right.
hypotheses and things like that because, I'm gonna say hopefully for the last time this hour, like with The Walking Dead, we didn't read the comics.
Right.
So, and of course at some point that show went beyond the comics. So if this
And,
show ends up being good, maybe they'll go beyond the video game.
well, and I will say too, because I know about 10 people that have played this game
Mhm.
and have watched the show, there have been a lot of discussions.
Mm.
So, again, that's part of where it's not just been the news stuff, it's been my friends going,
Mhm.
"Oh my god, they did this." And I mean, and apparently according to my friends, from the clothes to the set scenes to the weapons they use, the food they're eating, the all of that, even some of the particular camera shots are mirrored exactly as they are in the video game.
That doesn't surprise me at all, being that, the creators of the game were
Hmm.
just as involved. You know what I mean? They were
Right.
really involved. Oh, I just remembered the show that Anna Torv was on. She was on Fringe. I loved Fringe.
Oh, I loved Fringe too. You're right, she
That's why I'm like, it
was.
starts with an F.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking Friends. I'm
Fringe,
like,
yeah.
ah. Oh, I loved Fringe. Oh, that was such a great show.
I know. I actually would rewatch that, honestly. But anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, I do think, because I will say part of what a lot of people like with The Walking Dead and other adaptations is the directors have taken too much, you know, latitude with the working material.
Mhm. Like,
And
they think they can make it better instead of
yeah,
just using the source material.
right. And I'm not saying that, sometimes it is, I'll say like one specific scene from like Jurassic Park that never could have played out like in the book, which is when they're in the Jeep and the T-Rex is chasing him, and Malcolm is basically going, faster, faster, we must go faster. And in
Mhm.
the mirror, you see objects in the mirror maybe closer than they appear.
Mhm.
Okay, that was a nice little, addition that
Right.
couldn't be in the book. So when you do things like that, that's cool and it's fun. And that's kind of what they've done here with This Is Us or The Last of Us. But in a
Yeah,
lot of
so it's like
cases,
they're hitting the right notes. They're
yeah,
expanding on the right things.
yeah. Whereas,
Mhm.
like with The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones, or a lot of these other adaptations, the biggest complaint people have is they're playing far too fast and loose with
Mhm.
the source material, that they're just going way off book, so
It's
to
like they
speak.
forget there's a reason why they picked that source material to begin with.
Right. Oh, well, yeah, okay, we'll take all the names and we'll kind of put them in the same location, sorta,
Mhm.
and we'll kind of do some things but then we're going to do our own thing. I'm like, no, that's going to piss people off.
Right, right.
So I think they've hit this really nice middle ground between being true to the source material while still making it fresh enough that people that have enjoyed the games can still be shocked and surprised by what's going on.
Mhm.
And I think that's because like the beginning little you know tidbits that they're giving us is not part of the game.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the in the game it's spores that like linger in the air is how part of how they can infect people or let other creatures know that there's someone there, and they've changed that to actually touching the spores on the ground,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
tendrils, which I think
Yeah.
makes more sense because spores in the air would just be pushed wherever the air goes.
Right.
You
Instead
know,
of yeah, totally.
so these little
Yeah.
changes they make sense.
Mhm.
So they're staying true to the spirit of it, not just the letter of it.
So, let me just say, when I'm watching this, especially with episode 2, I felt like at times I was watching a video game because while I'm not a traditional gamer per se, I haven't
Uh-huh.
played this game. I have been playing some games like
Mhm.
in the since COVID, right? Um and like I could see some of these scenes in a video game like
Mhm.
as they're standing in a certain way or they're creeping through the building. I know
Mhm.
those are video game scenes. I know they
Yeah.
are. As Tess is going and trying to find a way to open the door for them,
Mhm.
I'm sure that's in the video game and I don't even have to play it. So
Right.
I'm watching this with a different lens, I think, knowing it's a video game.
Yeah. I mean, and for you, because like I said, I don't play any games
Mhm.
at all. Now it's not that I haven't seen them because my boyfriend is an avid gamer. So Fallout. I watched him play all of Fallout because he was dedicated to that. When he was
You want to know what game I've been held prisoner to for years of my life?
hmm.
Halo.
Hey, that's also a TV show.
Yes, and actually the Halo fans ripped that show apart.
I know. I watched it, but I'd never watched anyone play it before. And I
Mhm.
kept looking at my boyfriend who had played. I'm like, I'm pretty sure these were supposed to be the good guys, right? He's like, yeah. I mean, they're not the good guys.
Like Kevin, okay, so Kevin kept saying, I cannot stand how much he's taking his helmet off. In the game, his helmet never
Never come.
comes off.
Yeah. So and now for me, it didn't. None of these things bothered me at
Mhm.
all because I had never even watched the game, so I
Yeah.
had nothing to compare it to. And since I've never watched this game being played,
Yeah.
I'm not bothered by any of these things. But I gotta tell you, it's creepy and it is a kind of this fresh take on an old theme that I really am enjoying.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Good times. I mean, it's just going to be a good ride, I think. I can't believe we're already down to episodes. These episodes are moving forward, which I
It
also like.
Yeah, I was gonna say the other thing I really do like about there's not a lot of slow. I mean, every moment in there almost it seems like it has some significance.
Mhm.
So we don't. There's not. I mean, there's a little maybe a little filler here and there, but for the most part, everything is there because it needs to be there,
Yes.
and
Like
because when
there's a tie, you
and
know.
and I will say too, because they are sneaking things in. It could be that something that we think is just like a filler could later on actually have some significance. Who knows?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know.
I'm also like on a side note, let me just say I'm excited to see a couple of characters and why. So for example, I am so excited to see who this Kathleen character is played by Melanie Linsky.
Uh-huh.
That woman is the bomb. She plays in Jackets and other shows. She is so good. I love Yellow Jackets. Have you watched it?
No, I don't have that streaming service.
Oh my god, it's so damn good. And then also whoever Maria Miller is going to be, I love Rutina Wesley. She is from True Blood days. She's been in other stuff, but
Uh,
she was in True Blood. Did you watch True Blood?
yes, I did.
So you recognize her face.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see some of these characters. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen these actresses, in this type of setting,
Mm-hmm.
zombies and stuff. So I'm like very excited. I'm like hyped. I'm like, okay, even Ashley Johnson, I recognize her from like FBI shows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, what is she gonna be? And Nick Offerman, I mean, he's like a comedian, right? Like what?
Yeah. Well, and I got I'm liking the idea that in some ways, like The Walking Dead was idealistic. Oh, we're going to try and build this community, and this one is so much darker. Hi, we're the oppressive force that keeps you alive. Deal with it.
Right.
And the thing of it is I mean, you got to give it to them. For 20 years, they have kept it more or less running. Um, apparently through a lot of contraband. But it's this is a society that it's where people are, well, again, either they're dangerous or they're dead, and these are all dangerous people that are doing whatever they need to survive personally. The one
Right.
thing I mean, a little bit among the Fireflies, But the one thing that I've noticed that is very much missing from the other shows is the sense of community. There is no sense of community here.
Not yet.
Not
Not
yet.
yet, because he's looking. He also his goal is to find his brother, right?
Right. But that's not community, that's family.
Yes, but his brother is with people. He's not
Mhm.
alone. He's gonna be with the community. So, um, I don't know. Jury's out, and I still feel like they will become each other's family. Um, Ella and Joel.
Yeah.
So while yes, it's not like almost a instant ready-made family like with The Walking Dead, they came together pretty quickly
Mhm.
and gelled
Well,
pretty quickly.
but I was thinking more of the bigger groups. There's and we do know that the military regime that they're under is not just there.
Right. We know they're all over.
They're all over, in any places that they've been able to keep a hold at. And then there's the Fireflies that is also sprinkled throughout all of their communities as well.
Yes, the
And
resistance, I guess you would
right.
say. Mhm.
And in this type of scenario, you would think that if there was a better place to go that was a little more or less oppressive, the Fireflies would just go there. So that tells me that this is not a place that is community building. They are all still very much in survivor mode, and that's it. It's just survive.
Well, I mean, think about it. They explained to us that all the major cities pretty much look like Boston
Right. They've been
because it was
bombed.
yeah, it's huge concentration of people. They were bombing stuff, trying to keep back, the spread.
Hmm.
And so
And Tess did say, actually, she's like, they bombed all over it, but it didn't work like it did in Boston, which tells me that Boston, as bad as it is not as bad as maybe other
yes.
places, because apparently the bombings allowed them to retreat enough to build fortifications.
Yes. And also, I also love that she was from Detroit. So
Yeah. Yeah, I figured you'd like that part.
I'm like, "No, she died." Of
But
course.
I gotta tell you, I really do want to know, how did Joel go from Texas to Boston?
I know. I
I
mean,
mean,
it
that
was
is
it took a long time probably.
well, but I'm also wondering if maybe there at the beginning of this that there might have been like base mercy flights to safe
Mm,
locations, maybe. And
yeah.
why, him and his brother were close, obviously, and why how he ended up in Boston and his brother ended up in Michigan
No, his brother's, like, in Wyoming or
or
something,
Wyoming. I'm
right?
sorry,
Yeah,
yeah, Wyoming. But how do they end up so far
far.
apart?
Yeah, because they were together at the beginning. So I'm guessing hopefully we'll get some flashbacks of
Yeah.
this kinda showing us this journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I said, I'm just kind of curious if maybe there was like, again, mercy flights and he got separated from his brother and they were relocated to different places, um,
Yeah, I
or
don't know,
something like
'cause
that.
he said so Joel said something to the, what's her name, Marlena or whatever, the head of the Fireflies
Mm-hmm.
people at that location. He said, like, he was upset that, they took his brother away. So, I feel like they were probably together in Boston at some point, and he was
Mm-hmm.
involving himself with the Firefly group, and
Mm-hmm.
then he left?
Maybe.
Maybe like a mission or something?
Yeah. I
That's
don't
my
know.
guess.
Yeah, because like I said, I mean, even this isn't the inside these cities. It's not. Again, everyone is just they are surviving. No one is living. And I get it because this is a situation where everyone has to stay on guard all the time.
Mhm.
These aren't an exterior threat because as I said, we've seen them inside the walls. We haven't seen any rats, and I'm, I'm not going to let that one go. We'll see if I'm right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is I'm really interested to see, because as we know that he is going to travel to try and get her to where she needs to go,
Mhm.
which means that we were going to see different communities and different people and stuff. So I'm really curious to see if this the lack of sense of community is almost a universal thing, or if this is just for these communities, or I'm curious to see how people have aligned themselves, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah, there's a lot to cover in the next 6 episodes. I
Hmm.
wonder how much will be revealed before the end of the season and how much we're gonna I know it's gonna get a season 2.
I guess they're already. I'm going to go with it's already been greenlit, just not officially, because everyone's still talking about, even the showrunners, in season 2 we'll hit on these other themes.
Well, here's a
Um,
little fact for you. The Last of Us scored HBO's second best debut of the last decade on
yeah,
Sunday night with 4.7 million viewers tuning in for the premiere.
yeah, and those numbers have, as far as I, as a matter of fact, when I tried to watch it last night,
Mhm.
um, uh, initially around, like, I guess about 10 minutes or so after it first started, because HBO, on demand. um I couldn't get it to go. So I'm like, okay, no problem. Come back in an hour. Still couldn't. It just timed out.
Mhm.
At 11 o'clock, it timed out again, and then I'm dumb, and I went over to Hulu, because it's also connected to my Hulu, and I was able to watch it through Hulu.
Ah, okay.
Um, but I wish I had thought of that before 11 o'clock. Um,
Yeah.
but
So, uh, let's see.
but I do know that it crashed several servers.
People are watching, yeah.
Yeah, it crashed HBO's servers a
Uh,
couple of different times.
so can you guess what the number 1 slot is for the biggest premiere?
Um, Lord of the Rings.
Nope. It was well on HBO specifically.
Oh, then no, I don't know.
House of the Dragon.
Oh, okay, that doesn't surprise me at all.
That had I think 9 million or something crazy.
That's right. That's right. That's on HBO. Not. I
Mhm.
was thinking House of the Dragon for some reason was on Amazon, but that's Lord of the Rings. Never mind. Yeah,
Mhm.
I had them backwards.
It has some crazy amount cuz yeah, honestly, these shows they're killing it right now. They're spending this
Hmm.
money. These shows have huge budgets, asinine budgets. Then you wonder why the cost of your streaming service went up.
Yeah, but they also spend a lot of money on, or they spend littler amounts of money on their shows.
Right.
Their filler shows.
Exactly. Yeah, so is there anything else we should cover? We're coming up on the hour. Any other
No,
tidbits?
I mean, I do like I do like the fact that they have a test for so far, no cure, no treatments, but they do have a test to find out if you're, infected or not, which is, that's cool.
I mean, does it yeah, test is good, test is great, but you're gonna tell in a momentarily something is wrong, but
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
And I did also find it interesting that even the guards, who probably have a better, have access to better food, et cetera, than the general population, are still heavily reliant on
Smugglers.
smugglers
Yeah.
for just about everything. So that also tells me that this is not a well functioning society.
You know what else I wonder? Just offhand, like how many more children are immune? I feel like more are. It's not just Ellie.
It could be, but then again, in most cases, as soon as it happens, they're immediately killed. They're not. They don't.
Right. So you never know. You
You
never
wouldn't
get the
know
chance to know because they kill everybody.
exactly. I'm not sure. Either I missed it, or they didn't explain why. What's her name? Kept Ellie alive. To watch, or if she has been doing this with more. If she has been doing this with multiple people, it's
Hmm.
just Ellie's the only one that's actually made it.
Well, I know that Marlene's character said you were safe there until you ran away.
Right.
So that is one difference. If she does have multiple people she's watching or have put, in a quote unquote safe space to hide,
Hmm.
they didn't break out of anywhere. So she's exposed now.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to do something with her.
Yeah. But so yeah, I'm so even if there were more immune people, just because of the instant action that anyone would take, and you because there's never up to this point been a cure, an idea of a cure, or that's just out of the realm of possibility for everyone. There might have been other people that were testing positive but wouldn't have turned, but because they wouldn't wait, because we know that as soon as someone gets that negative, they're instantly put down.
Oh yeah.
So there's no way of knowing whether or not they would have.
At least they give the kids an illusion of
Hmm.
happiness before they die.
But I'm sure that they do that for any person, adult, child.
Really?
That
Those soldiers were about to kill them immediately.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as it's the same. If they're brought in and they're not violent at that point, they test or they test positive. My guess is, oh, okay, we just need to do this one thing. We need to give you a booster or whatever is probably what they do. But killed instantly. So that, even if it's only a 0.1% or 0.01% of the population is immune to it, the odds of them getting infected and then surviving long enough for anyone to notice that they're not turning is probably next to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, she might not be the only one. It's just she's the only one that's managed to make it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right. Okay. Well, we shall see how things shake out. 8 more episodes.
Yep,
So I think we'll end things there. What do you think, Lisa?
I think so.
All right. So we will be back here again next week to talk about
Hmm.
episode 3 and so forth through all 8 episodes. So be sure to subscribe and hit the like button before you leave. And we will see you guys next week. Until then, take care of yourselves. Bye,
Bye
guys.
bye. Bye bye.